And William G Howell joins us to talk about Vance and so much more. He is the Sidney Stein Professor in American Politics at the University of Chicago. Hello there. Well, I'm sure you've been watching. What a huge night it's been for Trump. The legal win, the new VP, the rock star appearance in Milwaukee with the bandage. Can I just get your reaction on this very busy night and your thoughts on how far the positivity of today will likely last with the American audience?
Trump's star is rising. He's being met with members of his own party to rapturous applause. And the contrast with his relationship to his party couldn't be much greater than that between Biden and Biden's party, the Democratic Party, where he's clawing on, holding on for dear life against all kinds of calls from within his party to step down. It's really something to watch here stateside.
All right. Well, not to be overshadowed, we know that Mr. Biden had a primetime interview that just aired in the United States. It was a much quieter affair. And he's got these continued calls that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. He had to make another clawback about the word bullseye on Trump. There was fumbling defense here and there. What impact does this interview have on a very noisy night for the Republicans? Does it have unity as a call?
Well, I think that Biden would like to turn the conversation to one of unity and us coming together. And that may well be the right call. To my mind, it decidedly is. It would be good for the country. But what we're observing right now is Trump coming on the heels of an assassination attempt where his party is squarely behind him. He just selected as his running mate somebody who sits in his image, who's going to harmonize with him at every turn. And on the heels of two huge court cases, one at the district level and one at the Supreme Court level, that are going to make it all the more difficult to hold him to account for his past actions. It's been an extraordinarily, politically speaking, extraordinarily favorable couple of weeks for Donald Trump. And I don't think we're going to hear from him or his party calls for, cooling the temperature or coming together as a country. This is, for him, a moment of ascendance, and he's going to do everything he can to make the most of it.
And let's talk about JD Vance himself, 39 years old. He's pretty junior, much like Kamala Harris was when she got picked. How much of a threat could he be to the Biden camp?
Well, I don't think frankly, it much matters. What's being played out here is at the top of the ticket. And so, if Biden ends up holding on to the nomination, there basically will be a vice presidential debate and he'll square off against Kamala Harris, and that'll attract some attention. But I don't think there's much expectation that how that vice presidential debate fares is going to bear upon the electoral returns, especially. To my mind, what's really significant about the selection of JD Vance is the difference between this moment and what we saw in 2016, where there was all kinds of skepticism among conservative circles about whether or not Donald Trump was a real conservative, and the evangelical wing of the Republican Party being concerned about whether or not he would stand up for their interests. And so his selection of Pence at that time was very much trying to shore up his broad political support. Pence was not in his image, but JD Vance decidedly is. And that's revealing of just how much of a hold that Donald Trump has on the Republican Party in ways he didn't in 2016, and how the center of the party, really the heart of the party, is populism. And the populist base that he was trying to kindle has now taken over the entire party. And we see that in his selection of JD Vance.
Interesting you bring up Pence, because his name's being bandied around by Democrats at this point, talking about how different he is from JD Vance. Is that helpful at any venture of this period?
Well, they are very different. I don't think politically it's going to bear on Donald Trump's fortunes. The evangelicals stand squarely with Donald Trump. He's shoring up that segment of the party. And so, sure, this is a very different selection. And that is revealing of just how strong a hold that Trump has on the party. It's not a sign of weakness. And I also think that it is emblematic of Trump's own sense of his position. I think he's choosing somebody very much in his image because I think he expects to win in the fall. That may prove to be a mistake. There's a lot of time between now and the first Tuesday in November. We'll see how all this plays out. But right now, I think he's feeling pretty good about his fortunes, which is why he picked somebody who isn't going to hand over a key state. I mean, the Ohio already leans Republican, and he's not going to speak to a different wing of the Republican Party. He's speaking very much in the voice of Trump. And so this is a story of harmony, and accentuating what Trump already is, not about trying to reach out to the middle or broaden the base.
And let's bring back the assassination attempt over the weekend. Do you suppose that had any impact on Trump's decision to choose Vance? We reportedly hear that he was just informed 20 minutes before the big announcement on Truth Social.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the reports too that I have heard have been that he being Trump, hadn't formally decided until the very end. I mean, he'd been banding around a couple of names, Marco Rubio among others, and it was just, it may well have been after the assassination attempt that he settled on JD Vance. I think he sees probably rightly that if the assassination attempt is going to have any bearing on this presidential election, it's going to improve his chances of winning. But we'll see. Again, a lot of time between now and November. A lot of things can happen. I mean, the drama sort of thickens day by day between the Supreme Court cases, this assassination attempt, what's going on the Democratic Party side. We now have the RNC up in Milwaukee. We're going to have the Democratic National Convention here in my hometown of Chicago in a month. A lot is in play right now. Right now, though, I mean, it's quite clear that Trump, he's enjoying this spotlight and is playing from strength in this present moment.
Yeah, if there's one thing we can both agree on today, what a big day for Donald Trump and the Republicans. Thank you, William G Howell, the Sidney Stein Professor in American Politics at the University of Chicago.